This is a discussion of Emily Dickinson's poem, A Root of Evanescence. I will display the text of the poem and play a recording of Greg Mattingly reading it. Then I will present my commentary on the poem. After my commentary, I will replay the reading by Mattingly. At the very end, I will display the references to the scholarly works I have mentioned in the commentary.
A rout of evanescence with a revolving wheel, a resonance of emerald, a rush of cochineal. In every blossom on the bush adjusts its tumbled head. The mail from Tunis, probably, an easy morning's ride.
Dickinson rarely gave her poems titles, but this one she entitled Hanenberg. Before the Civil War, opponents of slavery regarded hummingbirds as symbols of freedom. Prominent abolitionists, people whom Dickinson herself knew or knew of, were, according to Christopher Benfrey, fanatical about hummingbirds. It is difficult to paint or even describe the flight of a hummingbird. A hummingbird will hover in one place. Its wings will beat so fast that all you can see is a blur. Then the hummingbird will shoot off so fast that you can hardly follow it with your eyes. Dickinson, however, in this poem, described a flying hummingbird in just 4 words, a root of evanescence. This phrase means something like a pathway in which something is continuously vanishing. According to Charles Anderson, the word evanescence in Dickinson's time did not have the shades of meaning it has now, fleeting or transitory. Dickinson's 1844 Webster's defined it as a vanishing and suggested that it was something that you could not catch. In Dickinson's poem, all you see is something that looks like a revolving wheel continuously vanishing. Or, if the hummingbird traverses a field of flowers, all you see is the tousled heads of female flowers. But sometimes you also see splashes of vivid, iridescent colors, like emerald or cochineal. Cochineal was a scarlet dye made from the dried bodies of insects found on cactuses in Mexico. Cochineal is a word hardly known now, but it would have been familiar in Dickinson's time because she lived largely before the development of cheap synthetic dyes. About the word Tunis. Dickinson traveled very little, and maybe it was true, as she wrote in one poem, that she, quote, never saw the sea. But her poems are filled with place names. According to a tabulation by Melina Nielsen and Cynthia Hall, she mentions 195 place names. These include Aragon, Burgundy, Finland, Thessaly, Geneva, Tripoli, Potosi, and so forth. In the last stanza where she mentions Tunis, she had in mind Shakespeare's play The Tempest. Shakespeare says that a certain character living in Tunis was so far away that one could not receive a letter from her unless the sun were post, that is, unless the sun were a postal organization. But since hummingbirds move extremely fast, Dickinson imagines that a hummingbird would perhaps take only a morning to deliver the mail from a remote place like Tunis. Dickinson might also have been thinking of other of Shakespeare's sprites, such as Queen Mab, who, like hummingbirds, were tiny creatures. And in A Midsummer Night's Dream, when the sprite Puck is given a command, he says, "I'll put a girdle round the earth in 40 minutes," and is off in a flash, just like a hummingbird.
A rout of evanescence with a revolving wheel, a resonance of emerald, a rush of cochineal. In every blossom on the bush adjusts its tumbled head. The mail from Tunis, probably, an easy morning's ride.